I will never apologize for standing up for an LGBTQ2 plus kids' rights to not have to undergo conversion therapy.
Quick, someone help him by releasing more blackface photos. Happy Wednesday! So Politico just published quite the bombshell. Turns out the emails from Hunter Biden's laptop were authenticated. Yeah, imagine that. Authenticating things we already knew to be true. So what are you going to tell us next? Hunter likes blow and hookers? Who doesn't, though? Well done, fellas. Everybody in the media, take the year off. Too late. You already had. Yeah, this news comes from a new book, but it's not new to any of us, thanks to the reporting of the New York Post. And it was only because the rest of the media wanted Joe Biden to win that it was buried faster than your kid's guinea pig you accidentally stepped on because you were drunk. But just for old time's sake, let's report the so-called news. A person who had independent access to Hunter Biden's emails confirms 2 of the emails the Post published, including one about a potential deal with China with the line, 10 held by H for the big guy. That is Joe Biden. I'm guessing that 10, though, had more zeros following it than Joy Reid's Twitter account. Now, we already knew this because we didn't ignore Hunter's former business partner, Tony Bobulinski. Love that name. He confirmed them forever ago. The book also confirms that emails released by the Swedish government also match emails from the laptop. I know. Who knew Sweden had a government? Anyway, but it's that China email that matters. It reveals the Bidens were in cahoots to make a buttload of money with an enemy. That fact would have doomed Joe's election chances if it was treated like the deadly grenade that it was. But thanks to the press and big tech, it didn't. They're more rotten than a month-old bag salad. So just for old time's sake, let's look back at how the compliant media treated this story when it first came out. First, CNN. Check out these graphics. First, how the newest anti-Biden narrative was manufactured. And U.S. authorities investigating if recently published emails are tied to Russian disinformation efforts in targeting Biden. So reliable sources, my ass. Now, I'd say Stelter should eat some crow, but he might go into toxic shock because it's a protein. His only reliable source is a bucket of raw cookie dough. And remember NPR? Why haven't you seen any stories from NPR about the New York Post Hunter Biden story? Well, we don't want to waste our time on stories that are not really stories. Yeah, right, NPR, you do that. Ignore that story and focus instead on a legally blind transgendered pony who makes a living doing porn. Pretty good stuff, by the way. Here's MSNBC. Why does Rudy Giuliani have access to peddle this disinformation repeatedly? This is not censorship. Facebook is under no obligation to allow a disputed report that appears to contain disinformation. And Joy Reid tweets, good for Joe Biden. No need to dignify a Russian hatchet job. We're not doing emails again, America. Come on, Joy. You get any dumber, we're going to start calling you Don Lemon. And remember that letter signed by 50 former intel officers, right? Huh? Hunter Biden's story is Russian disinfo, dozens of former intel officials say. Well, either they were dupes or they were traitors. That letter came together faster than a new bong at Cat's house. Yet all the hacks swallowed that BS like it was beluga caviar. Look at all these jackasses. David Frum, Max Boot, David Korn, Ben Rhodes, Tommy Vietor. Remember Evan McMullen? He doesn't. The list of dolts goes on and on, thanks to Drew Holden, who compiled them. Seriously, that must be a Guinness Book World Record for stacked that high. And now it's so cute to see these dopes who painted Trump as a Russian spy while burying Biden's connection to China, then get mad at the dope they elected. Yep, the same press now cries because the guy they carried to the White House now won't answer their questions.
I think, would it be okay if we just have a couple of questions, just a couple of
Good
questions for the...
He asked him the question.
Hope the microphone got it. I know.
British reporters get questions. You don't get any.
Wow, he's less eager to attend a press conference than Brian Laundrie's parents. But the irony is as rich as a Burisma shareholder. Afghanistan, the drone strike, inflation, COVID, division, polarization, crime, and the Haitians who prove living under bridges isn't just for Americans anymore. In just 8 short months, Biden turned America from us first to dead last. It's like my favorite blow-up doll, Gladys. Joe's presidency has quickly deflated. And like Gladys, he doesn't answer questions either. I prefer it that way. But remember, he didn't really want to run. He knew he was as done as burnt ribeye. He just wanted to go back to Delaware and wander into neighbors' yards without his pants on. Just like the good old days. So it's all in the press, and they still love to bury things. Take the border. For months, horrifying video relayed the hell that was going on, but they ran from that footage like it was an incoming Zoom call from Jeffrey Toobin. But the media only cared when they found that one image they could use to demonize border control. But now, surprise, surprise, the so-called whipping has been downgraded to wielding, then whirling, and now it's just twirling. What's next, wooing? They were wooing them. Turns out the only things getting whipped at the border are Joe's and Kamala's asses. The Washington Post now admits the Border Patrol did not appear to strike anyone. Yeah, but you can't unring that bell. The idiots who read their garbage digested that crap whole and will continue to use it every time they argue with a sane person. But that paper is now mostly fake stories and corrections. I would line my birdcage with it, but then I'd end up with a parrot who will hate America, praise China, and demand a non-cisgender pronoun. And no, Joy, they weren't whips, they were reins.
I was not aware that whips, which come from the slavery era, were part of the package that we issue to any sort of law enforcement or government-sanctioned personnel. Were you aware that that was being issued to people, that people had that kind of equipment on them that they could use on humans?
She has to be a plant. You'd think she'd know a little about being an equestrian for all the she produces. But now, I'm just happy I was able to say equestrian. I practiced in the mirror with a riding crop. But anyway, now as the whip story evaporates under the glare of common sense, so goes their attention to the border problem. It shall be buried like the laptop. Unless, of course, they can find one more image that will impugn Americans. If only there was some of that on Hunter's laptop. Then they would report the out of it. Let's welcome tonight's guest. When he takes his shots at the left, he hits from a three-point range. The Rubin Report host, Dave Rubin. Yes. She's so southern, she moisturizes with grits. Fox Business Network anchor, Dagan McDowell. He was born in Saudi Arabia, which is why we call him our little prince. The Guy Benson Show host and Fox contributor, Guy Benson. And they play her voice to make Gitmo prisoners talk. Fox News contributor, Kat Tiff. Welcome back to the show, Dave. Last time you were on was the first show. Am I correct in that?
That is correct, Greg. I have so much to say about that opener, but first off, Gladys, your inflatable girlfriend, we went out to dinner. She did not shut up the entire time. I am shocked.
That was not Gladys, that was Glenn. Oh. Yes, he's been having hormone treatments, hence the weight gain.
Can I just say, before we do anything else, that I was on the first show, which was in April.
Right.
And I said on the first show that you would be #1 in late night by the end of the year. You did it in 4 months.
Yes.
Yeah. 4 months. And it's unclear to me whether it's because you're so charming and handsome and witty or whether the other guys are just so absolutely horrible. I'm trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I think I am. I think my competition is kind of sad and pathetic. But I'm not going to let that stop me from reveling in my success.
Yes.
I'm still a winner, Dave.
No, you're
I'm
going out with
winner.
Gladys tonight.
I'm a big winner. Oh. Gladys is dead to me now. I can have any blow-up doll I want. Where are we in this segment? Do you have a thought?
Yeah, well, look, on the stuff that you were just talking
Yes.
about, the idea that we couldn't talk about the laptop and now we can talk about the laptop. It's like everybody's a conspiracy theorist until you're proven right? You're not going to believe this. I've got one for you.
What?
I think there's a chance that COVID came from a lab in Wuhan.
Dagan, welcome to the show. You look fantastic. I can say that.
Yes, you can.
Excellent. Does the fact that all of this
Hubba.
does all the fact that all this stuff is true matter? It really it's not going to reverse anything. To Dave's point, it really doesn't matter that they're talking about it now.
I think it does. And by the way, thank you for this blow up of Hunter Biden in front of me. I'm like Lot's wife. I gotta, I should look away or I'll turn into a pillar of salt or cocaine.
If you do turn into a pillar of cocaine, no offense if we dive on you.
Please.
And deliver it to the police
And yes.
immediately.
I think this was going to backfire on the Biden administration because there are serious reporters who are upset. And rather than covering, Paw Biden, who acts like Grandpappy who's taking his hearing aids out. That's what he looked like.
Yeah.
He's sitting there with the hearing aids out, kind of with a glazed look on his face, like looking around, can't hear you. So reporters are going to want to be on the Hunter Biden beat and dig up compromising dirt on Biden and familia, the whole enterprise. Think about it. You get to travel the globe, Ukraine, Mexico, China, the left coast, and you get to go to all the places that a privileged dumbass crackhead would hang out.
You get to interview hookers.
Jiggle joint, strip club, art gallery, bougie hotels, Rehoboth.
Chateau Marmont.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't pronounce the T, I heard. Chateau Marmont. No rock star was kicked out of there. People died there. He got banned. I almost love him for that. Guy, here's a question for you because you're a political mind. Should the Republicans, I'm not a Republican, should the Republicans start impeachment proceedings, not just against Biden, but also Justin Trudeau? We can do that because Canada, technically, we have jurisdiction over Canada.
As he was just bungling LGBTQ, it was a delight. You could tell how embarrassed he was getting, and he was red-faced, not black-faced, which is rare for him. I'm still
What's the
confused.
combination if he's red-faced and black-faced? I don't know.
I think just blackface. I think that's my understanding. I'm still confused why you're the only person who's allowed to compliment Dagan's appearance. You're the only person here with a wife.
Yes.
She's
traveling
out there.
She's traveling. You were married. Dave is married. We're all of us are married.
We're all married. Just you're the only one to a wife. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Now look, on the Hunter Biden.
Justin Trudeau would be freaking out about it.
Like, what do we call them? Which letter are they? Can I talk about Hunter Biden for just a second?
Yes.
The story reminded me again to go down the rabbit hole of how deeply creepy the suppression of that whole enterprise was.
Yeah.
I mean, the New York Post not only got ignored, and you went through all of it in the monologue and how they were delegitimized, the New York Post was not allowed to tweet anything for weeks. Yeah. That is bonkers. And I think one of the most important things about this revelation from Politico is it's not like these emails were about Hunter Biden's colorful personal life. They were about his foreign business dealings, about which his father said he had never heard anything, never spoke to his son. And that appears to be very much contradicted. That's not about the president's or then candidate's family. That's about the candidate, now president. And I wonder if we can maybe revisit all of it now.
Yeah.
Are we allowed to talk about it now?
I think so. And also part of that is the fact that the media in big tech were involved. That's worthy of an investigation in itself. Like, shouldn't we ask, how did the big tech get involved in this? Like, what were those phone calls like?
Right, and it's so clear cut too. I mean, I'm not a cybersecurity expert, but
Are you a homosexual?
no.
Okay. Well, then that's okay.
I'm a gay man on the inside.
Yeah.
There's a joke I'm just trying to suppress. That's gone.
It's not the only thing.
Nicely done.
It's about time someone said it. But I would just think that if there's a laptop that has tons of pictures of the same guy smoking crack, that it's probably that guy's laptop. But if it's not, wouldn't that mean that he had a traveling crack-bender photographer?
Yes.
That would also be an interesting story.
Exactly.
Like, if it wasn't his laptop and you really believe that, you would have chased that story, because that's even crazier. But they knew it was his laptop the whole time, which is why they said that it wasn't. Also, did you hear Jen Psaki's explanation for why he didn't answer any questions? She said it was Boris Johnson's fault because they did not warn the White House that they would be asking questions, which is probably because answering questions is a pretty normal thing to do for the leader of a free country.
They threw Boris Johnson under the lorry.
Oh.
I know. It's amazing, isn't it? This comes from right out of here.
That was incredible.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.